I'm checking on these bees today. I was really worried about them because they just don't want to get out in the cold. This hive's normally the most busiest, and I didn't see any bees coming and going out the entrance, which might just be because the other ones need honey and these ones are fine, so they're more about not getting out in this cold. See how close the fire got to the bees? I had me a little accident, but they're fine. Let me get a little closer here. I always recommend smoking the bees. I haven't smoked them though, but mostly this is just what I wanted to see. Let's see. Do you want that? Now, the whole point of smoking bees is to get them to eat honey. They say, well, maybe we might have to change locations. And a bee that's got honey doesn't want to sting you because then it'll die. And it's a precious resource that they don't want to lose for the hive. And so, but bees can get to know you. They can get to know that you feed them. We'll give them a little bit of easy honey here. The back of this hive tool's heavier and wants to fall off the box. I gotta scoot it forward. I don't want to bump into no bees. There you go. Yeah. Let me see what it's filming. Yeah, you can see that bee over there eating the honey off the hive tool. For long distances, they'll do a dance to communicate where it is, but something this close, they'll just give off a pheromone to say, come here. If it was summer, these bees would already be over there with them drinking it, but they're trying to stay where the cluster is. See them bees on the lid? They're kind of annoying, being patient, waiting on them. A lot of people will knock them off or brush them off real quick. And it's those type of rough actions with bees that winds up getting them kind of hostile to you. If you want to be a good beekeeper, you got to be patient and you got to actually love the bees. It really helps. I haven't crushed a single bee since I got them. Now, the people I got them from did when they were boxing them up. When I opened them up, there was some dead bees crushed in the side. But if you lay it down really gently and slowly and you smoke it right and you do everything right, you can stack boxes and lids and everything without ever crushing a bee. It calls for a lot of patience and being careful, and it's worth it, really. Because your bees have an institutional memory. One of them may not have experienced you do something negative, but another one might have and might remember you and might give off a pheromone of alarm every time it sees you. And the other bees start to associate you with it, and it just sort of spreads to where, you don't want the bees looking at you as a danger. The bees will take you over now. It might sound a little crazy, but that hive of mine, they'll try to pull you in. You'll hear buzzing. You'll be like, wait a minute, maybe I need to go feed them bees. So in the wintertime, you reverse the inner cover and the bottom board. And the reason for this is ventilation. You don't want a bunch of moisture piling up and getting cold and killing them. When they cluster in the winter, there's going to be The box is going to stay full during most of the day. They're going to stay together. It's going to create humidity, water, you know. So I'm so glad these bees made it. I'm so glad both the bees survived. Both bee colonies. Is that... Okay, for a second I thought I saw a drone. And I was like, they haven't kicked you out yet? But it's actually just a really old worker bee. And he has a lot of his hair off of his thorax from being old. And he's bigger because he's come out of new comb that's never had cocoon adhere to the inside cell walls. You know, a lot of times wild honeybees have reused comb longer. And so they're smaller. That every time they come out of their cocoon, or they clean their cell, but they don't perfectly clean it. Some little pieces of that cocoon get adhere to the inside of that wax cell, and over time it builds up, and the interior diameter of the bee cell gets smaller and smaller, and that produces a smaller and smaller honeybee. And the larger the humming bee is, the harder it is going to be trying to pull a mite off of its back. So, and plastic foundation is made a little bit bigger than the natural bee cell, and that causes some issues. So, from here on out in the day, it's just going to get warmer and warmer. And the lows are getting down in it was like 28 Fahrenheit, 27, 32. It's cold. There's some bees coming in at the bottom. So some of these bees did go out the forge, unless the other colony is trying to rob them. There's still 4 bees on the top cover. Most places you want a 10 frame bee box stacked too high, just brood chamber at the bottom and honey filled up at the top and pollen going into winter, so they can move up into a full box of honey and pollen. Most places in America, your bees aren't going to make it through winter in a 5 frame stacked on top of a 5 frame. But where I'm at in South Georgia, you can do this. I still wouldn't recommend it here either, but you can do this. And when you first get your bees, it's good to feed them the whole time until they build up their wax so they can have a really good fast build up. But I didn't do that. I didn't give them any kind of sugar water, no sugar, nothing. I just let them get the wild, the maple nectar and the fruit trees, and I let them forage. I wanted them to be really healthy and have a lot of nutrition, not just empty sugar. And normally you don't want to just put honey out here on the top like this, where it might bait other bees to start trying to rob them and everything. But I'm out here with them and it's about to get flipped over anyway, and the lid closed and bees aren't going to be able to just get to it. Okay, there's only one more bee left on the lid. He's cold by himself. Well, the sun's warming up. But all his friends are like, come down here. He's lost though, you know. It used to be horizontal. He used to be able to smell them and then be right where he was at. But this took a long time, but it'll take a long time having to wait on bees that remember negative experiences to die, or you might wind up having to make sure there's none on the other side. There's none on the other side. He's right here. Put him right there on that corner so you can smell them other bees. I think I might have a little bit, but I ain't got enough honey on my hive tool, I don't think, for him to. I'm not gonna hurt him, but if he, there we go, I'm gonna break that. He's trying to get to the lid, get. I got this out here on a concrete slab, so ants and things aren't around the bees. I think I am gonna smoke these bees though before I flip this thing. Now normally you flip the bottom boards because they have a different depth in them both ways that you flip it. But this nut box that I got was built to where it can't be flipped, and instead of having the normal groove in the middle, there's just a hole in the side body. So I ain't got nothing to flip on these bottoms this year, but the top inner cover needs to be flipped. There's a lot of old bees here. You know, it's normal for guard bees to be almost your oldest bees. Your oldest bees are your foragers, because that's the most dangerous job, so they leave it up to the ones that are about to die anyway. But you can tell the age of a bee because when they first come out, they're real fluffy. Got a lot of fuzzy yellow hair on them. They're soft. And as they get older, all that starts to rub off of them. I said I was gonna get the smoker, but I might just risk my life and go ahead and do this. I'm in a bee suit. Okay, so see how I get up in there. Oop. Just stay calm. I don't let it drop after I pick it up, and I slowly wedge it up. Some bees flew and landed on my face of my mask. I didn't jump or act crazy. I just wait. And some time passes. They see I'm not a threat. I'm moving real slow. They calm down and they go back to the group. Make sure I don't kill any. This is a really easy time. None are on the edge, so I'm gonna go ahead real quickly and flip it over so there's nothing, no bees to get squished on the edge. And now my top board is reversed for the winter time. These are made different than what I'm used to seeing. All right. Now the little bit of honey is still, what's it saying 1x for? I hope I didn't put it in slow motion or something. I probably did. So now I got my inner cover switched around. Now the honey's dripping through the middle. They'll clean that up. And it'll also, you know, they'll want to get back in there. Now, when it's flipped over like this, that there isn't a space up at the top like there used to be. So when I go to sit this lid down, any bee that's not, you know, that's up at that top would get crushed. And I don't want that. So I'm gonna be, I can use smoke to get them to kind of go in there. When it gets colder, they're gonna go in there anyway later on in the day. But I'm gonna check on the internet because I have took a hiatus from beekeeping for probably 3 years. And I'm gonna make sure I got my inner cover right. I'm pretty sure I do. And there's gonna be better videos about beekeeping, but because I don't want to break the cluster on the inside. I don't want them to lose that heat. And so in the summertime, I'll show you more of the frames and stuff like that. Here you're just seeing bees, and they're not. I could have zoomed in on them more for y'all. Let me stop this video here.